Welcome everyone to the 14th webinar hosted by Huang Quan Village and the second webinar for this academic year. Today's topic is a very, very important one for the survival of our planet so that our future generations can have a planet to live on. Please, I just want to remind everyone first to make sure that they are on mute mode, and later on, after 1 hour 20 or 1 hour 25 minutes, you can have all your questions asked to our great guest today, our international speaker, international expert in sustainability and environmental education, Mr. Lukas Madrzynski. Welcome, Mr. Lukas, today for this live discussion, very interesting one that a lot of educators joined from all over the world.
Thank you, John. Pleasure to be with you guys here.
Thank you. Mr. Lukas Madrzynski, the pleasure is all ours, Mr. Lukas, and we're honored to have you today. Mr. Lukas Madrzynski is the co-founder of Lijiang Wild Mountain Education, Master's and PhD research at UNEP Tongji Institute of Environmental for Sustainable Development, Shanghai, China, member of UNESCO WITRAP Asia Pacific Network of Heritage Practitioners, expert consultant for China Biodiversity Conservation and Green Development Foundation, Lijiang Conservation and Development Association. Mr. Lukas, welcome again to this very, very important discussion today. My first question will be for you. Okay. My first question will be, Mr. Lukas, for you, is the following. Is it too late now to save ourselves from the auto-destruction because of sustainability and environment were not treated well enough for years now, or we can always save our planet?
Thank you, John, again for the kind introduction. Is it too late? For some things definitely too late. Some things can be still averted. To some things we can adjust. If you're looking at the state of the climate change, the projected future impacts, and if you ask yourself a question, how much can we still mitigate and adapt? There's a lot to unpack here. What we're looking at right now is the IPCC report, the one that just came out a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular graph shows the future emissions projections of future emissions.
Mm-hmm.
Even at the most optimistic scenario, the emissions will be growing up until maybe 2050s. The yellow line there, or the yellow-orange line there, the intermediate line,
Mm-hmm.
shows the most likely scenario at the moment, and that puts us right under 3 degrees temperature increase, average temperature increase, and that will mean that will cause a lot of trouble going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So the next slide shows the areas that will be mostly impacted. And so we are somewhere, the most likely scenario puts us around 3 degrees increase, and that puts us somewhere in between the middle and the right graph.
Mm-hmm.
This shows the areas that will be mainly impacted. You see the northern hemisphere, and so to some degree the southern hemisphere as well. The ocean currents and all that will be definitely affected by these increases. The increases will also change the weather patterns, and that's the next slide. It shows the precipitation change. So some areas will experience droughts, some areas will experience intense rainfalls and increased amount of rainfall throughout the coming decades. That will have a huge impact on some areas, depending on what their economy and livelihoods are based. Some of the main outcomes or impacts are shown in the next slide, also from the report. And those include extreme heats, heavy rainfalls, droughts, fire weather, increased forest fires, and ocean acidification, warming. Obviously, these are only some of the impacts. They might seem a little bit abstract, some of them, especially depending where you live. I'm sure that some of them are more relevant to the area where you are, some are less. They are this 5 examples here, or the main impacts are just a few. You can find a different information about more specific impacts and different types of impacts that will be happening. Now, for the next slide, this is something that I wanted to bring a little bit back home. Home meaning China, where I lived for 15 years. And these are the sea level changes. This is also another impact that I'm sure that everybody is aware of. There's been a lot of discussions about it. And so if you look at the projections, they average around 0.5 meter increase to 1 meter. Even the most optimistic projection shows around 0.5 meter sea level increase by 2100. Some reach it 0.5 meter sea level increase even by 2060s. So that's like 30 years from now. And the next 2 slides show an area in southern China. So we're talking about mitigation and adaptation. There's been a lot of discussions about how much can we still mitigate and how much should we focus on adaptation. This slide shows area of the Pearl River Delta, which covers Hong Kong, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Macau, that part of China. Now, this is what it is what it looks like
today,
right now.
Today, yeah.
Yes, today, right? And if you're talking again, mentioning back the previous slide, the lowest increase that is projected is 0.5 meter. Now, I wanted to show you what happens in that place that is inhabited by hundreds of millions of people with a 0.5 meter increase. So if we can jump to the next slide, this is the area that will be affected. Right, so these are field grasslands. There's a lot of agriculture there. This will be either underwater or will be wetlands, basically. And so, to answer in short your question about is it too late, I will repeat what I said at the beginning. Some things are inevitable at the moment. Some things we can still, let's say, minimize. A few probably we can avoid of the extreme impacts, but I think it's I personally think that it's time for us to start shifting a little bit away from mitigation, or let me put it this way: mitigation is the most crucial, but we have to start taking adaptation much more seriously. And what I mean by these things, mitigation, I'm sure that many of you are familiar with these terms, but just to clarify, mitigation means to decrease our impact on the environment, so the climate change is not going to cause so much trouble. Adaptation is to adjust and already think about how we will be dealing with those impacts and those challenges that are heading our way. And so I personally believe that adaptation should take a little bit more serious part in the discussion. And especially if we talk in the context of education of younger generations,
Yes.
these are the generations that will be dealing with those challenges. Now, the older generations can try to do as much as they can to mitigate things and prepare the younger generations to deal with the challenges that will start coming their way.
So as a conclusion, Mr. Lukas, we can say that most of the issues that we have in environment and sustainable that are today, I mean, letting us ask question, can we survive on this planet in 50 or 100 years? Most of them we can adapt. It's too late to mitigate. And some of them perhaps we can mitigate. Can we, as a conclusion, we can say that in general, which is
that's my belief. Yes.
Yeah, which means that we're in trouble in a certain way.
Yes, but it's also going to be very regional and local, right? So different countries, different regions of countries will be affected in different ways, and I think that's also one of the challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, some very bad, some medium, depending from where are you, and yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, that's why sustainability and environmental education is crucial nowadays in schools, in universities, but mainly in schools, as you said, so that the future generations that are going to be, let's say, taking care of all this in 20, 30 years, they know at least what to do and they know how to do. So can you explain to us a little bit those approaches and methods in sustainability education, please?
Yes. So I think the first thing to say about the sustainability education, it's unlike anything that we have been teaching before. We have not been dealing with this type of challenges and scale of challenges in the past. And so one of the first points, and this is the list that I personally believe is the most important approaches that should be used for teaching a sustainability education, is that it's interdisciplinary. It spans across all disciplines of education and our daily life as human beings on this planet. It's a systematic approach, right? I mean, that talks to the interdisciplinary nature. It means that we're dealing with the whole system. And so I think at this point, I think it's also important to make a distinction between what I mean by sustainability education and what is the difference between sustainability education and environmental education. Environmental education, in my view, is just a subset of what sustainability education stands for. Obviously, sustainability deals at the global scale with the environmental impacts of our activities on this planet, but it doesn't really spend enough time on the other aspects of sustainability education, such as economics, such as social sciences, that are important if you're talking about, bringing society together and dealing with those challenges or addressing them in one way or another. And so interdisciplinarity is one of the core things about it, and that's why I would like people to think about it as it spans across all the subjects. It's inclusive in the sense that it includes different stakeholders that you have to think about. Not only individual responsibility, yourself, your personal contribution to this to solving the challenge, but also the governments, the companies, and the business side of the things, the local community, right? The people that are mostly affected by it. And so when solving those problems, you have to cooperate with all the stakeholders involved, and that's the next part, right? First, you need to identify who are the stakeholders involved in a particular challenge, and then again, it could be a local, regional, or a global challenge, and then you need to identify and include them in this conversation, and then you need to cooperate with them, with all of them, to resolve this or address this challenge. Sustainability education is experiential because it requires students to feel this. Now, I mean, studying in the books, this is nothing special about it. Yes, this is nothing special about sustainability education itself. When we had discussion before about Montessori approach, and this is something that has been used in different places to different degree, but it's just one of those aspects or approaches that is most efficient. Let's put it in effective. Yes.
More real life based. More real life based. It must be real. Yes. That's not okay. He's done the test. He got the 20/20. But at the end of the day, is he applying whatever he's studying it in school? Yes. Yes. Go ahead, Mr.
Yes. Yes. And then the other things about the sustainability education, in my opinion, the crucial aspects or approaches are: it's place-based, it's issue-based, it's project-focused and action-oriented. It's hands-on, right? So if you're talking about sustainability education within a school, right? You can take your school campus as a place that you want to resolve some challenges, sustainability-related challenges, and you identify the issue, and it could be I don't know. Not enough light or oxygen in the classrooms, right? You can focus on the environment aspect of sustainability education, and then you focus on resolving that solution. That's the project focus, right? I mean, you develop the project. This is basically project planning and project implementation.
Teams education,
right? Project management, project management. Yes, and it's action oriented. Because you need to implement this project, and that's the most important part of it. And sometimes I think and believe in many approaches or many courses, subjects, you sometimes get to the project part, but you just leave it as out there as this is our solution, but then we move on, right? But you gotta implement it.
Yes,
that's the idea. And then again, it can be school, campus. It could be a local community where you live. It could be a country, obviously, and the globe. You can go all the levels from local to global, and you choose the scope that you like, and then again you choose the place, you choose the issue, you prepare a project, and then you implement it. And that's how we've been doing it. With One Mountain, some of our projects, educational projects, and this is the one that is also the most engaging for students when they can be part of it, of the whole project, and then see the results of their work when it happens. And so I would focus more, and this is again my opinion, my approach, but I would focus more on practical application, and less on theory, because theory, the students will figure out the theory on the way.
Yeah, they have Uncle Google. Uncle Google is easy to help them, but practical is very important. And as you said here, Mr. Lucas, those approaches and methods are all based and are all related to 21st century education. When we talk interdisciplinary, we talk about one subject called knowledge. That means if we're going to teach sustainability or environment, as you said, as one subject, okay, separately than the others, suddenly it will not give any, let's say, any positive, or let's say any good or efficient results. Okay, they will read the book, they will understand some issues, they will do a good test, they will get a good grade, but it will not solve anything. So all those 8 different pillars that you specified are the pillars also of the 21st century education. And that's why sustainable education must be everywhere, in every subject. It must be, as you said, integrated in all subjects, because it's a global, holistic problem, holistic issue that we're facing today. Is the issue of our survival in this planet. How we're going to survive, as you said, how we're going to adapt ourselves. So if those students, they don't see the cooperation, the schools will not see, as you said, the cooperation from the community, from the local government, from in general, the different stakeholders will not reach anywhere. If the schools will not implement it as a project-based learning by doing, the students will not see the relation between that and the real life-based education based on that. Means that the students will not apply whatever they're doing and will not see the results. We're not going to reach anywhere. So we can conclude in this way.
I agree, and that's why I said it's important to think about it as a new type of challenge that we are dealing. I think the closest that I can think of is the ozone layer problem, right? And I was in high school at that time, and we learned about it in a chemistry class out of I don't know, and it really was just an explanation. The subject, it took, I don't know, one, I think, class, and it was explanation what it is, how it works, and what should be done about it. And that's it, right? And then, you know, the governments actually and the legislators took it in their hands, and they solved it, right, for us. I mean, we didn't really have to do much.
Yes.
I mean, the aerosols in the products suddenly disappeared out of the shelves of the shops, and it was solved. But right now, it's a much more complex problem.
Well, much more. It's getting worse by time. Yes. Good. Thank you. Really, very effective. And I'm sure that all the attendees, again, dear colleagues, if you have any questions, we're going to have a 35 minutes live question sessions at the end in about 40 minutes. And you can post your questions on the Zoom chat box, and we're going to answer them all once we're done with discussion with our international expert in sustainability and environmental education, Mr. Lukas. So let's go now, Mr. Lukas, to the next question. What are the benefits of sustainability education, and for whom are those benefits in general?
Yeah, so I focus mainly on three stakeholders here: the student himself, how he will benefit on it; the school that provides those kind of resources. It can be school, company, and education center, training center, and then the society at large. All right. So I listed some examples of how students can benefit from it, and I do believe that the students, the sustainable education can enhance their academic achievements because it provides, like you said, a real life scenario. It provides them a playground to practice and use the knowledge that they have subjects. And that's why it also facilitates interdisciplinary thinking, because the sustainability related challenges, they require you to make connections between different disciplines in academia, so to speak.
It will help you have to connect all the subjects together. Yes.
You have to think about, I mean, this particular challenge that you're looking at. It's you have to look at it from not only the environmental challenge that you're dealing with, but also how can you get other people involved in solving you this problem, how people are looking at this problem in the first place. Is it a problem for them or not? If it's not, then what are the ways that you can communicate it more effectively? And that's why it involves a lot of let's say social science skills and knowledge that you acquire throughout your curriculum. It also looks at the underlying economic factors that influence this particular challenge. Physics, chemistry, biology, again, social science, culture studies, obviously, culture studies, sociology, anthropology. No matter what you're into, mainly, this resolving challenges, sustainability-related challenges, requires you to examine it from all the angles. Another thing about sustainability education, this is something that we've discovered throughout the years working with the students of all ages, is that students of all levels and interests can contribute to resolving sustainability challenges. Obviously, younger students will not have as much knowledge as the older, but they might have the same amount of creativity or imagination, or even more in some cases. And even if it's not a solution or that is used or accepted by the group in the end, it sparks discussions. Sometimes you have really young kids that come up with like crazy idea, but then everybody start thinking about it and discussing it and examining it, and that also applies to differing interests of students. You have some students that are more into economics, some that are more into natural sciences, some that are more into social science, and it really provides a very stimulating environment for them to interact with each other, to examine the issue from different perspectives. It really is a fun experience for the students to be able to contribute, no matter what their level is, and no matter what their particular interests are. Another thing about sustainability education is that it encourages analytical and critical thinking. It develops problem solving, communication, and leadership skills. Again, it puts them in a situation where they need to interact with one another and other stakeholders, and they need to examine the issue critically. They need to try to find the different solutions. They need to communicate those solutions with others, and empowers them really. That's what I mean by leadership skills, like feeling involved, actively involved in a project, gives them confidence. They learn how to again communicate with others and how to inspire others.
So 21st century life learning skills, which is very, very important. And we suffer a lot nurturing them because it's not easy. So sustainable education, it helps even nurturing those 21st century life learning skills.
Yes, indeed. And by doing so, it builds their self-value and self-confidence. I think that's also a problem in many cases where students are, being told to sit down, shut up, and listen. And that's how they are by and for the rest of their lives in many cases,
Yes.
But I think we need more people with, proactive attitude, maybe even, a bit too much confidence. But in the times where many people are already kind of giving up on things, we need the next generation to sort things out for
overcome
us.
The challenges. Overcome the challenges. Yes. So very important benefits, Mr. Lukas, for the students. And you said, as we said before, it's not a subject issue. It's not a subject sustainable education. It's more a overall infrastructural approach for the whole school, in which, as we see here, as you mentioned, it's enhancing students' academic achievement. It's facilitating the one subject called knowledge. The benchmark is helping us reach the benchmark of horizontal integration between all subjects, which is one of the pillars today of 21st century education. At the same time, integrating students with all levels and interests with real-life-based education for them, classroom without borders, to see what's happening in the world, how can they solve those issues, and practically solve those issues. So later on, as you said, they can overcome those challenges when they become responsible in their communities, in their governments, and help us save our planet. And of course, it helps, as we said, nurturing the 21st century learner profile traits within our students, and it builds in them that self-value, self-confidence, and it prepares them to become future leaders, right for today and ready for tomorrow. So it's crucial. Crucial.
Yes.
I don't see any school.
I do think so.
Yeah. I don't think if any school is not applying it, those schools are perhaps a little bit in trouble. They must apply this on the spot. They must start this on the spot. And what are the different benefits for the school in general? Mr. Lucas, when we say
it comes back to similar what we talk about the students. It enhances STEM's curriculum. It helps them to practice it.
I see.
And think about it, how they can connect different subjects together. It helps to maintain and upgrade school environment. What I mean is that if you take your campus as a project site, then you can improve it. It can be greener, it can be healthier, it can be more fun, it can be more stimulating for students to learn. It can also help to transition to a school's carbon neutrality, which ultimately will result in greater resource efficiency. And lower your operational costs as a school. You know, I mean, some of those projects, I mean, can be more simpler, some more advanced, and some might require a little bit more resources in the short term, but will benefit by decreasing your operational costs. And I mean, one super simple and obvious example to everybody would be, you know, installing solar water heaters or solar energy panels. There's so many examples where you can get students involved in developing and implementing the project that will green up your school, and you will save up money. It also I think it's also quite important, and maybe not realized. Many people don't realize is that there's a shift. I come from mainly social sciences, and I've noticed a big shift in terms of the values of the society here in China, in terms of you know, how much they value sustainability and environmental protection. And especially you know, those parents and families that you know, are in maybe upper middle class and upper class, they value that a lot. And so having your school integrating sustainability in education will be a very good selling point. And here we're talking about actual economic benefits from implementing it. And it will overall improve the school's image. You know, I'm not talking about, you know, I mean, there's a lot of greenwashing going on there, but if you're doing it good, the people that know how things should be done, they will appreciate it and they will recognize it for you, recognize you for doing it. And that will definitely improve your school image. Again, that can translate directly into, you know, either economic or PR benefits, connections with, you know, organizations and governmental bureaus that will be more supportive to what you do.
Yeah, and you will have more students. Other parents will tell other parents, and more students will come and join your school. Yeah. So as we see here, we need to practice with our students real life in our schools, so that once they go to real life and they become leaders in their community, they are ready to tackle those issues and give solutions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great, great. Excellent.
And so the next one is the society, right?
Yes, the society. Yes.
I think that one's also. I mean, obviously we can go into a little bit more details, but society. When I write society, I mean the humankind, right?
In general, yeah. We want everyone.
Yes. If we want to decrease the amount of suffering and, you know, pain in the world, and you know,
those floods,
the welfare or well-being of you know, as many people as possible, and then building that base for resolving those problems that are coming, and some of them are already here, is very important. It's crucial to improve the overall well-being of the humankind on this planet. And some of the points I put here are, you know, that sustainability education natures valuable members of society. It engages them in real world problems and helps them to already address them and practice and resolve those challenges as they are studying it, as they're learning it. And so I'm a strong believer in practical education, where the students
doing.
Yes, the students are not only learning how to do it, but they're actually doing it, and it's creating positive. Yeah, it's creating positive impacts. Right, so you can kill two birds in one stone.
Yes.
So to speak. It encourages community involvement. I would say, if you're doing it right, you have a community, the staff, the faculty, the administration, the students, and again, the local community around your campus involved in some of those problems. It communicates sustainability with the society at large. I mean, if you get students involved in it, they will spread this messaging, communicate it with their parents,
others, so that they can continue.
Yeah, and so it really spreads out. Once you get them involved and engaged and interested in this, they will communicate it with others. Sometimes by just random chats with others, and sometimes by them actually involved in communication campaigns. And we get to that later, but they can do a lot. They can create a lot of positive impact in terms of communication with the local community, society at large, by being involved also in some of those communication projects. It also equips with skills necessary to resolve local and global challenges. It's kind of it's a different way to look at it, but yes, they are valuable. It nurtures valuable members of society because it prepares them to and gives them a chance to already address what is happening, local and some global challenges.
As a conclusion, we can say that our students will be the ambassadors of sustainability and environment within the society, within the community, within the whole country. There will be a role model showing the others how can we do, showing the others what are the skills needed to do it, and showing the others the way, the methods, and the infrastructural changes we need to do to, at least, as we said, adapt in 70-80% of cases, and 20% if we can mitigate. Yeah, we'll do our best. So
yes,
we can say that they are, let's say, one of our most important hopes of change in the future, the students and the schools. Can we say that?
Oh yes,
Lucas?
they're crucial. Yeah. Yes, of course. Yes, they're crucial. And I think that's also a good segue to talking about kind of coming back to mitigation versus adaptation. I think in the days of mitigation, they're not the days past; they're still happening. But we kind of counted on the governments to and companies to deal with it, and then we didn't have the skills and knowledge as a society, as individuals within the society to deal with it. These are two big problems for us to deal with. I think the individual responsibility actually caused more damage than it helped in the long term, because now we suddenly feel ashamed for using a plastic straw, while the big problem was not addressed by anybody, and kind of disabled us. Now when we're crossing over to the territory of adaptation, I think we can be much more proactive in helping to resolve those problems, because those problems exist now at all levels.
Yes. And in everywhere, everywhere too.
Yes. And so I feel at least optimistic that seeing from our work with the students of all ages, they're very, very much concerned, very much motivated, and very interested in proactively, solving those challenges at different levels of, sustainability, climate change.
Yeah, because they can see that in 20-25 years, there's a big problem. As you saw us in that photo as an example, the floods that are going to happen, and all those, let's say, different landscape that people are living in now, or they're using it for agricultural resources, Imagine if they disappear, we're not going to have enough resources. A lot of people will be homeless. We're going to have less land, more people. So we're facing catastrophic problems. And already, Mr. Lucas, as we see in the world nowadays, floods and all those weather change, it's affecting a lot of people, and it's taking life of a lot of people. This year, last year, we saw a lot of, we have a lot of live examples. So, as you said, the students are our, let's say, only hope to make sure that in the future, in 10, 15 years, we reach a point that,
yeah. I do also think I want to point out an important thing. I kind of referred to this a little bit earlier on, but I feel that it's good to repeat it.
Yes.
You know how we say, you know, like young people are like very idealistic, and it's kind of like a bad thing somehow.
Yes.
Right.
Full of principles. They want to do this and they want to do that.
Yes. I really think that we need to turn our, you know, our tracks around and nurture it, you know.
Yeah.
Put fire to that idealism, because we will need them to help us to resolve those problems. We don't need them to become, you know, apathic to those, you know, challenges ahead. We need to nurture that idealism.
Idealistic, yes, the idealistic approach, and not, let's say, how can we put it, not very lucrative approach. They must see in that this is our only hope, guys. We need to live on this planet. We need to do our best to adapt, at least, and can survive on this planet for the next generations to come. Yes, I agree 100%. Yes, that's our only hope, and hopefully we're going to reach that. And are you optimistic? Are you thinking that because you are in now, you are working with the students, you are teaching them, you are guiding them, you are working with schools in general? Are you optimistic? Do you see that it's changing slowly? We're going to this adaptation, the whole community, the whole in general, or I mean, are we advancing or we're regressing? That's the big question, in your opinion.
We are advancing, but I don't know if the pace is
good the pace enough. Is very slow. Yeah, the speed is the problem. We're advancing very slowly, and the problem is the stuff are changing very, very fastly, and we're advancing very slowly.
Yes. And so, you know, I mean, other than working with the students, we also work with the local communities through our through the NGO that we're managing here.
Yes.
And we have many projects, and you know, we're working with the local community. You have to resolve not only an environmental problem, you have to resolve, you know, their social problem, their economic problem, and maybe sometimes first that, and then you can get to the other one, or you need to combine it somehow that it works. And there's you know, there's a lot of positive results and impacts of what we do here, and the locals are very, you know, some of them are super devoted to doing this stuff. But like you said, I mean, sometimes the situation changes again, and sometimes due to climate change, and then, you know, you need to adjust again, and it's like an ongoing battle. In some of the places we work, these are some of the most southern, in northern hemisphere, most of the most southern ice caps and like snow mountains. And you know, we work there and we try to address the, you know, biodiversity loss and whatever, like logging, you know, hunting, and you know, improving the environment for the ecosystem to thrive. But there's some things that we cannot you know, resolve in the long term. The ice caps will melt, and there will be not enough water, and ecosystems will suffer, and there's really very little we can do about it, you know. And so, I mean, you're asking me if I'm optimistic. Again, it depends on the challenge that is at hand. You know, some challenges I feel like we can overcome. But some, it's just a matter of time. It's going to get worse and worse, and you know, some of the things like ecosystem that I mentioned, they will just collapse, and you cannot go and water. You cannot go and water it every day. You know, like a forest.
It's not your garden. It's not your personal garden. So some stuff, it's too late already.
Yeah,
it's too late already. Well, let's cross our fingers. Really very, very, very important discussion, and we already have a lot of questions. So We'll finalize, and afterwards we'll answer all your questions, dear attendees, dear colleagues, dear educators. A lot of questions are in the Zoom chat box already. Very interesting questions. So how can we integrate? Because I have one question here too. How can we, what type of project we can do? How can we integrate all this in our schools?
Yeah, so there's many different approaches. Again, here I just listed some of those that I find and efficient, effective. But this you can expand this list greatly. So the first one is what I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier on. You can turn your campus into a green project site, and I mean, obviously, there's many different examples of how can this be done. There's lists of on the internet. There's, you know, honestly, kind of guides even on what you can do in your school to improve the environment. Some from the top of my head, increase the natural light that coming into your classrooms. Right? I mean, there's different ways to do this, approach this challenge, but it will increase the efficiency of your school of students. They'll be in a better mood. They will study better. There's studies that actually
will change.
There are studies that actually show with a high degree of confidence that it increases the academic achievements, concentration, focus, and overall mood of the students if you have more natural sunlight, and it decreases your cost on electricity, right? And in turn, it also decreases the fossil fuel emissions. You know, it depends where you are, unless you have your own, let's say, solar panels. But overall, let's say the carbon footprint is decreasing. You can say at least that, and improving this learning conditions environment for the students. You can, you know, build composting system where students can, you know, build it together and maintain it together with the faculty, with the administration. That can help to get rid of some of the waste from canteens, for example, right? And it also can be used as fertilizer later on in your, let's say, greenhouse or garden, you know. And that's another way I think that you can do. Again, you there's so many things you can do and connect them together.
Yes.
That build a system, a sustainable system that your campus can become.
Good,
right?
Good.
Improving the environment, improving the achievements of the students, decreasing your operational costs, and decreasing the carbon emissions carbon footprint that your school might have.
Great. Great. So, and that means that it's going to be, as we said, the school will be as a role model, environmental and sustainable environment or habitat that we need to practice on it and make sure it's there, so that later on we do it in our larger scale workplace or country or community. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. It's just like it's like a model.
Yeah.
You know, and then
it's
you
lifestyle,
can implement
mindset.
this model on many different levels.
Yeah.
Another way of integrating sustainability education is to straight up integrate sustainability in your curriculum. And I think that probably is one of the hardest things to do, but it doesn't have to be done overnight. It can be done progressively. I know that maybe retraining or building capacity among your faculty to include it or integrate it somehow in their subjects curriculum might be a little bit difficult, but it can be achieved with when you depending on the type of resources that you have. You can send them to conferences, you can send them to workshops, or bring experts to your school
to train your teachers, to students.
Yes. I think also another thing about this is it can also to some degree happen naturally if you start the conversation in your school. if you start promoting sustainability education and environmental projects in the school, that the students know about, that the faculty knows about, that they learn about, that they discuss it. I believe that one of the most important things you can do is start this conversation on the school scale.
School scale, yeah.
Right? And there's many different ways you can do that. And some of those ways you can do that is the next point, which is encouraging student-led communication campaign. Right? They can design posters, whatever. They can design some materials about the school and its environment, about sustainability in general, about sustainable development goals, and have that conversation ongoing. This also can be done by organizing sustainability competitions, right?
Yes.
There's so many ways you can do that. Competition for, a sustainability related poster, or graphic design, right? And it can be general. It can be open for sustainability related artworks, right? For engineering projects, whatever your school is good at or has
specialized at
faculty, right? And you can I would say it should be like a reoccurring competition going on every once a semester. There's one competition, or if you're very confident, you can do it monthly.
Once monthly.
There's 17 sustainable development goals. Even if you do it like a monthly, this month we do this competition for this, and next month we do for the next goal, and then we have students do it again. The medium that you choose for the competition is limited by your imagination. It could be presentations, can be speeches, can be poems. There's so many things you can do with that. So this also contributes to the, as I said, the discussion about sustainability within the campus.
Yes.
Another thing is support sustainability-oriented school clubs, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't think it would be great if you have like a sustainability club in your school. That would be awesome. But sustainability oriented school clubs, I put it this way, because there's like probably an eco club in your school, or whatever they call themselves, like green club,
environmental club, eco-friendly club,
yeah. And maybe you have like some charity clubs, maybe you have like a biology club that is into biodiversity around.
Yes.
So somehow support those clubs and the projects within the clubs that are somehow related with sustainability. Again, I would refer everybody to the Sustainable Development Goals. There's 17 of them, but each of those goals have like a few indicators that are a little bit more specific, and to see what are the clubs and the student unions, whatever projects that they do, and what kind of support that they might need. Maybe maybe find more faculty to help them with the projects, or I don't know, even throw at them some resources. Another thing is to connect with local NGOs. I think that's something that I don't know if schools do. I have not heard about schools doing it, but connecting with the local NGOs
help a lot.
Helps a lot, right? And it can be done different ways. You can invite them to give a speech, or do a workshop, or do some activities for the students.
Or partner with them, perhaps partner with them with MOUs, the school and those NGOs.
That would be ideal.
Yeah,
right?
common projects, once or two common projects per year.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yes. That's what we do here too. Again, but we have a sustainability education company, but we also manage a local NGO, and so sometimes we have schools that come and say, "Hey, we want to help with implementing some of your projects," and have students learn when doing that. And
Great.
that's definitely something that is viable, and it's also very effective in terms of getting students involved in it. If you have some NGOs around your area, again, we are based in China, Yunnan, so this is definitely, we cannot help everybody with that, but especially now with COVID and the travel restrictions. But if you have some NGOs working in your area, reach out to them and see what they're doing, you know, maybe ask them to come. Again, you can build up to that MOU, you know, invite them to come and give a presentation to students, maybe, you know, about what they do, you know, or bring students to the NGO's project site and see what they're doing there in the field, right? That also talks to about the next, it's related to the next point, which is inviting speakers, right? All kinds of speakers. You know, you can bring them to the school to give some presentation about something sustainability related, or you can do online conferences, like I do actually quite a bit with school students, and then we discuss different sustainability related issues. You can organize workshops. Again, the workshops for students, but also for faculty. You know, I'm sure that there's workshops for administration staff as well.
Yes,
that are sustainability related. And then again, they can be offline, they can be online. It's about you know, the resources you have and the whatever travel restrictions you have right now. You can recruit sustainability staff, right? Like a sustainability officer in your school. I know many schools already have that.
They have that, yeah.
I know schools have many schools have it. And yeah, have somebody to, you know, to come up with ideas in your campus that are relevant to what to your situation in the school, to your environment, to your local community around the surrounding area. The limit, you know, taking into account the limitations you have. I think in some cases, obviously, the financial limitations also don't allow to or don't make it impossible to get an extra person that deals specifically with that. But then it comes back to how much it can help your school, right? If it can serve your operational costs overall and pays for the sustainability officer, if it can attract more students, right? If it can attract more support from business, governmental, and non-governmental organizations, then it might be I believe in many cases is a positive balance.
Yep. A lot of schools nowadays, they have, as you said, Mr. Lucas, they have a sustainability environmental coordinator. And what do? They integrate sustainability in their curriculum in all subjects. And of course, at the same time, they make sure to prepare every year an action plan, what they're going to do the whole year in detail. And that action plan, as you explained, it's integrated within all the different pillars of the society and the school. And that helps a lot. And of course, we need to, as you said, more to learning by doing, but not only doing, but learning by providing and implementing the solution, not just doing to implement, to see the solution. Yeah. Yes,
I totally agree. Another way you can integrate it is build a capacity among your faculty. It comes back a little bit to the integrating sustainability in your curriculum. To integrate it, you need to have faculty. Again, this can be done many different ways. I believe starting conversation, having students talk about it with the teachers is the most natural way. But you know, workshops, again, conferences, speakers that come to your school or give online
webinars,
presentations. Yeah. And another one that I think is very important is the outdoor activities. Again, this is something we do a lot here in our Wild Mountain, but it really stimulates students. It engages them more. And again, these outdoor activities can be, you know, can be far away from your school. China, Yunnan, welcome. Anybody is interested, we can organize it for you when the restrictions are fine. But they can be in your country, it can be in your region, in your
same city
area. Yes, and they can be done in your campus, on your campus grounds. Right. When I mean outdoor activities, I don't mean outside of the school. It can be done inside the school. Garden,
outside the class. Let's put it that way.
Yes, outside the class. Yes. There's so many things you can do outside the class, inside the campus, or outside of the campus. Depends on where your school is located. I know many schools are located in beautiful natural environments, depending on the school. And with the small forests right around, you can bring them out. You can do biodiversity surveys. You can collect materials, identify the plants or the animals, or the birds on your campus. You can get the students then involved. Again, you can think about the projects, how the projects are connected, the specific projects, how they're connected, and where they culminate, or where are they going, how they building on top of it, each other. You can, with a small idea of like biodiversity survey, can end up with, a manual brochure of your campus and the types of birds that are in your campus. And suddenly you have, environmental education materials developed by the students and faculty together. And I would say these are some of again the solutions that you can do this. Integrated within your scope, but there's many more, and I would encourage everybody that is interested in this subject to just do a simple Google search, and you will find hundreds,
thousands perhaps. Yes, I agree.
And then you find what works in your context.
Yes, right? Modify it. Yes, customize it. Yes. And as you said, Mr. Luke, is not only while integrating this, it's helping also our teachers. We call them, of course, not facilitators, because they facilitate the inquiry and of knowledge and skills, no more teaching. So it helps them differentiate in the classroom. It will help them because you are applying all the 21st, as we said, 21st century lifelong learning skills and lifelong methodologies, like E3RR, like baby and the cup, like one subject taught knowledge, like differentiation. We simplify it a lot because we are using sustainability education pillars, because the students will see the beginning, the end, and the solution in all those different projects that they're going to do. And that will help a lot.
Yes, I totally agree.
Okay, now as Wild Mountain, what are the different, let's say, mission and vision that you're already applying, that you're already doing, so that others can follow you, can see an example? You can give us an example in general as Wild Mountain. What are you doing? And I'm sure that you're doing a great job. You're doing you're applying all whatever you said in a very fantastic way. So if you can give us some of those different projects and different mission, vision, and guiding statement that you have in general in Wild Mountain. So Lucas.
Yes, so we focus on three different business products, you can call them. They're all pointing in the same direction of increasing or supporting sustainability. One of those three approaches are ecotourism, nature education, and sustainability consulting. So for ecotourism, we provide short excursions around Lijiang, where we are based in Yunnan province in China. We take groups of a family or a small group of friends for a day or two excursion to some of our project sites. I'll get back to the project sites later on with the sustainability consulting, but we take them and we give them opportunity to learn, to have fun in some of the most beautiful places in China, some of the most beautiful places in the world, some of the most biodiverse places on the planet, some of the most important places overall for the biodiversity. I think and you should mention here that this year, in the next month, we have the UN Biodiversity Conference in Kunming, which is our provincial capital. And so the leaders from all over the world are coming for the UN conference on biodiversity. We'll be discussing the plans for the next decade. And they've chosen Yunnan because of its great biodiversity. And so
the role model.
Yes, or at least the most important grounds on the planet, one of the most important grounds for biodiversity. For nature education, we bring groups of 20, let's say 15, 20 students. We have programs for primary, middle, high school, and we even had groups of bachelor and master students from universities in China, international students, and designing projects for them, programs that include environmental education, and for students over 10 years old, we can organize also, and we have been organizing sustainability education programs where students come and learn about the project sites and then develop, analyze, research, develop, and then implement sustainability projects, as we have been discussing throughout the last hour. And then the last part is the sustainability consulting. And so we do some consulting work. We participate in through the association or the Lijiang Conservation and Development Association. As a company, we are participating in those projects and providing workshops, trainings, and the project implementations, development and implementation for local communities in nature reserves, protected areas, national parks, scenic areas, for the staff, for the local community of those areas. Right now, we are participating in 3 projects that are funded by the UNDP Small Grants Program. And they involve, again, trainings, workshops, developing materials, sustainability related materials, helping the local community to transition from sources of income that have been destructive to the environment to more sustainable sources of income, like ecotourism, for example, or environmental education, nature education. We are helping the local community to build capacity to do it themselves. As a company, we help them. We help them with promotion and providing the student resources or the tourist resources as much as we can. We help them to develop brochures, maps, ecotourism maps, and catalogs of the biodiversity or about the local culture. And by doing that, we are helping them to, again, transition from, logging, fishing, hunting, charcoal burning, some of the sources of income that have been traditionally prevalent, and right now they are forbidden by law. And the local community is trying to find different ways to make a living, and we're trying to find solutions for them and help them to develop new skills and transition to more sustainable sources of income. I think that's mainly in very short. Obviously, there's much more to say, but yes, we focus on the northwest Yunnan, northwest area of Yunnan province. This is it has UNESCO natural heritage sites, huge one at the 3 power rivers, many protected areas, nature reserve, and we work in those areas as a principle. We work with those areas that are most rich in terms of biodiversity, and we try to help the local communities, local governments to solve some of those problems by bringing environmentally responsible tourists to the place that support the local community, by organizing nature education, sustainability education programs where the participants actually are directly helping to resolve some of the local problems, and then working with the local community directly in terms of workshops and material developments.
Great, outstanding. You're doing an outstanding. You are the missionaries of this very, very important education, sustainability, and environment education. You are a role model in this, Mr. Lukas, and hopefully everyone will follow you in this role model. And I'm sure that anyone needs any help. You see here, Mr. Lukas' email. Anyone wants any help, any questions, any inquiries, he could ask him, and Mr. Lukas is more than ready to help in all those stuff. Mr. Lukas, really, it was a very, very interesting live discussion. But before we go to the questions, because we have a lot of them, we have at least 1 dozen in the Zoom chat box, and I'm sure a lot of people wants to ask that questions. I want to just announce to our dear attendees our upcoming webinar, to the outstanding international guest speaker, educator, expert in leadership, education leadership. The topic will be from classroom management to classroom leadership, October 9 at 11 a.m. Dubai time, 3 p.m. China time, with Dr. Aline Nassar, who is the board chairman and chief executive officer of Stokos and Australia International Advisor Council member at HHERF. We'll be honored to have her. I'm sure that a lot of educators are waiting for this event. A special thanks today for One Kwan Village again for hosting this important webinar and doing its best to help our different educators in this in their sacred mission of education. And special thanks to our great guest, Mr. Lukas Madrzynski. It was very, very efficient, very, very important information. And thank you for attending. And now we are going to switch to the questions, and we have a lot of them. We have one. Let me start. Let's say first question, Mr. Lukas, from one of our educators. Since this problem is inevitable, what are environmentalists doing to solve this tragedy? Very difficult question, but very important one.
I will say this. I'll answer this way. When I started studying or getting involved in environment, and that was what maybe 12 years ago. Environmentalist was still a dirty word.
Yeah, at that time.
Okay. We were the tree huggers. We were the people that were standing in the way of development. Much has changed actually. I feel I don't know, different places and different countries probably have different situations, but I feel where I live, China, they are taking this the concept of sustainability very seriously, and I feel I'm getting a lot of support from the society itself, but also from the government, and there's a lot of different ways you can take it as an environmentalist. Depends on when you focus on, and there's a lot to do. And so what are the environmentalists doing, to answer your question? It depends on which aspect of environmentalism they are what they are focusing on, and what are the opportunities in that field. And so right now, what I would say, we are at the time where there's a lot of need for environmentalists of different angles and with different sets of skills, and they're doing a lot of different things. That is really the short answer to a little bit. It's quite complicated to say exactly what they're doing, because they're doing so many different things.
Yes, and they're doing a great job, I'm sure about that. But so as you said, the tragedy, we cannot, it's inevitable, we're getting there, but we can at least adapt and make sure that it's going to be less loss and less damages as much as we can.
Yes.
No?
So I would add only that to just give you a picture of it. I mean, so there's some people that are doing carbon emissions accounting. They're environmentalists. Some people are working with like us, we're working with the local communities in wilderness, basically. Some people are, working in schools as sustainability officers. Some people are, campaigning for a positive change. Right now, we are becoming part of all those different disciplines. People, the environmentalists work in agriculture, trying to find different, more sustainable ways.
I see.
Water treatment is a big thing, right? Or air quality treatment, carbon sequestration. They're everywhere right now. Yeah.
Great. Another question, Mr. Other questions on the Zoom chat box? Any live questions? Please go ahead.
Yes, John. I
Yes,
had a
please,
raised
Dr. Alina.
hand
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank Lukas for such a delightful presentation, delightful in the presentation style and more delightful in the information and the knowledge that was given to us all. I was positively overwhelmed when I heard the word empowering students, because this is the core of what we do, and I felt very supported. And when you mentioned overconfidence in students, I find this a very good thing, and I find it positively infectious. However, the teacher's role as the orchestrator or the conductor or the facilitator is to make sure that the overconfidence of some of the students does not overpower the confidence of other students. So also a very good point that you've shared. Thank you for that. I just wanted to share with you and with everybody else, like here in Australia, my twins go to school. They are in grade 3. Everything you've mentioned about learning by doing and hands-on, be it face-to-face before, in contact with nature, incursions and excursions, and now because we are in lockdown, we've been in lockdown for the whole 3rd term, they were doing it online. Everything is incorporated in the curriculum. You see all of this done in English, even in math, in science, and in something that they call well-being. They give them exercises, they do research, they create pamphlets as groups. So what they do is they have a Zoom meeting, and these ideas probably for everybody who's put in the chat, how do we do this? Do you have any ideas? I'm just trying to give some practical ideas that are happening with my own girls here in Australia. So they connect the class on Zoom, they split them into breakout rooms, and each group then, they work together for an hour or so, they research and they create a pamphlet, for example, to sell an idea which is related to sustainability, to environmental sustainability, and so many other topics as well in this field. They also ask them to do speeches, to prepare speeches, persuasive speeches about, they give them a list of topics, ask them to research, and then to prepare a persuasive speech. So they are teaching them, the girls are learning, everybody in the class is, in the school is, they're so happy, they're boosting their confidence that they are capable to stand up, convince others about something that they're basically learning about. So it's dual learning, because they're learning when they're researching, they're learning again when they're creating the pamphlet or speech. Actually, it's tri-learning, because they're learning a 3rd time about the concept when they are presenting it to the class and to the teachers, and they're having fun, they like it. They do a lot of projects and science experiments as well. All that has to do, just go to your front yard, bring this, bring that, put it in water, put it under direct sunlight, see what happens. All of these are practical things. So they spend 2 to 3 hours per activity, but they're very happy, they don't feel bored. So very wonderful what you said, and thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Aline. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe
Yes, Mr. Lucas, go ahead, please.
response to that. I like how you say coordinating students and the different approach and how to do it. Me and John, we had a conversation last week about what is the role of a teacher
Yes.
in the context of sustainability education. And my personal ideal approach that works with many groups, not all groups of students, is a mediator. You know, if with one group it doesn't work, I would try maybe a facilitator.
Facilitator, yeah.
And then
The famous word, yeah.
if it's really difficult, I will go to like coordinator.
Coordinator, yeah.
Yeah, but I would stray away from being the leader or the
Yes.
main
Yes.
center of focus.
Yes, yes.
And so yes, I do agree that but you have to adjust it to the different groups and bunch of students, But yeah,
I like to call it orchestrator, because this is empowerment for the students. You give them all the tools,
Yes.
and then you just orchestrate and make sure that they are implementing it the way it needs to be implemented, through directing them in the sense of facilitating or so. Yeah, same principle.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Orchestrating, a great word too. Yes, I agree. As Maria Montessori said once, 7-8 decades ago, the moment the students will feel that you are teaching them, they will not listen to you. And that's why we need to make sure that we are orchestrators, facilitators, mediators, and not a teacher. Just they listen to us for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and they shake their heads, and then they memorize everything, and they get a good grade. That's not education. That's something else. Yes, I agree. Thank you, Dr. Aline. Yeah. Any other questions from our dear educators worldwide? Any other questions live, please, before we go to another question on the Zoom chat? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Emmanuel. Yes, go ahead, please. Mr. Emmanuel, you have a question? Go ahead, please. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay, I think he sent it via the Zoom chat box. He is asking if can describe in general, if Mr. Lucas, you can briefly, of course, describe an environmentally sustainable society.
It's a society which uses the natural resources in a way that doesn't diminish them, that doesn't destroy them, and can continue doing so into future without any problems.
Great. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to be more specific in terms of like how I imagine the society, global society would be organized, it would be organized. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I mean, probably. It's not that I didn't think about this stuff, but I think a lot of those ideas are probably too soon to even discuss.
Yes, we're too far for that.
I would say that probably majority of this society would find some of those ideas of a society like this, and especially if you talk about the social structures and political ideologies and which ones they play, what role and how they are. It's a very difficult discussions to have with people right now.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Another question. Well, this is a tricky one. Which countries are considered model countries in sustainability environmental education worldwide?
In terms of education, sustainability education, I'm not going to lie, I'm not really sure. I would say probably the Nordic system is very good at that.
Scandinavian countries, mostly.
Yes. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, I would probably say like Northern Europe, yes.
Northern Europe, yes, more, yeah. Okay. And can we say that in the same question that the STEAM education environment is the appropriate environment for environmental sustainability education? I mean, they complement each other, or let's say they support each other?
It's a very good question, honestly. And I don't have as much expertise and experience in working with education in education as you do, John. So maybe I think that would be an interesting question for you.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, we tried it a lot in many schools when I was a principal in those schools, and I see that STEAM education, not only it helps environmental sustainable education, but it's the main force that will guide environmental and sustainable education. Because if you don't have a STEAM education, that means you don't have full horizontal integration. That means you don't have learning by doing. That means you don't have real life-based education. That means you don't have classroom without borders. So if you don't have those 4 pillars, it's impossible for you to create, as you talk about, the sustainable and environmental education environment. It's almost impossible. And that's why it's very, very important that any school, as Mr. Lukas said, any school who wants to integrate sustainable environment education, he must make sure that all the other pillars needed are there. STEAM education, real life-based education, complete horizontal integration, one subject called knowledge. If the multi-layered curriculum with one of the layers being sustainable education, if those pillars are not there, you cannot just ad hoc and say, okay, I want to add sustainability environment. This is most impossible. Everything must be there, and sustainability and environment education will be the catalyst linking all this, as Mr. Lukas said, during this very, very important lab discussion. And without those other pillars, it's impossible to do it. Do you agree with me, Mr. Lukas?
I do. I was just wondering if what the question actually was trying to ask, and maybe I misunderstood exactly how would it be practically implemented. And again, I mean, I have not worked in the schools and public education system. We do most of our education either outdoor on the project sites or online, more private and approach, private company approach. But I do believe that from how I understand the education systems in different places, especially here in China, this is the more knowledge that probably I have. In this context, I believe sustainability education as a separate course that, like you said, John, brings together all the subjects, STEM subjects, and provides an environment and time every week for them to practice different other subjects and put them together in an interdisciplinary manner. I think it will be very, very useful approach. Yes.
Must be integrated. It must be integrated within all subjects. The moment you deal with it as one separate subject, already you're against the principles and against the basis of 21st century education. Because 21st century education, as Mr. Lukas, is one subject called knowledge. It's all linked together. Because in real life, the students are not going to face a math problem. They are not going to face a physics problem. They're going to face a major problem consisting of different fields and areas of knowledge and skills. So he must get used to face those. If you train him to face only mathematics and physics very theoretically without real life based, then believe me, students will suffer a lot in their real life. A lot.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And that's why I do strongly believe that the approach where you incorporate sustainability education in all the subjects, and then you have a separate playground, or like time devoted to specifically just focusing on that. It's like reverse, you know. Each subject has some sustainability, and then like a sustainability subject has some of all the other ones.
All of them. A catalyst to link all of them. Yes. Great. Yes. Yeah, I agree. Thank you very much, Mr. Lukas. We were honored to have you today. It was very helpful for our forgotten missionaries of a sacred mission of education that very few believe in it anymore, but they are believing in it, they're continuing. us educators, we are going to continue this mission because, as we all say, we are the last stronghold. Education is the last stronghold between humankind and autodestruction. To make sure that this stronghold holds and expands, we must integrate sustainability, environmental education within all pillars and levels of education to make sure that future generations are fortifying the last bastion of humankind, which is education. So hopefully we are going to mitigate more and adapt less. We'll do our best for a better future, all of us together, hand in hand, one for all for one. Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Do you want to add anything, Mr. Lucas, at the end, please?
No, thank you. Thank you. This was a very good ending.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to add anything at the end, please? Anyone? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lucas. We're honored for that. Thank you, Juan Kwan Village, for always hosting and helping our educators in the latest topics and giving them the right information so that we become, all of us, ready to tackle and overcome the challenges of the 21st century. Thank you, and God bless you all. See you on October 9 with Dr. Aline Nassar, our international expert in leadership education, about our very important topic, our leadership education. How can educators be real leaders, empowering students and not just creating followers? Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Lucas, and see you all on October 9. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.